out and about at Liverpool Street Station, and you've also been speaking to some bloke called Mick Lynch this morning, Simon.
I have, yes. Good afternoon. From a very busy London Liverpool Street Station. It would perhaps surprise people that on a day when members of the RMT union are going on strike, that actually, if you want to go to lovely Clacton or Southend, or indeed on the main line from here to Colchester to Ipswich to Norwich, well, there's trains every hour, as there are to Stansted Airport. And although services started late and will finish early, around the country, there's possibly as many as 50% of trains running. Now, that's a really significant figure, because even though if you're on First Transpennine or on northern trains, you've probably got a pretty ropey service today. On other lines, I mean, you're in Newcastle, you want to go to London, there's trains every half hour. I even calculated that it would be possible just catching the first train at about 7:30 this morning from Plymouth, via London, via Edinburgh, and via Inverness. You could end up this evening in beautiful Tain on the Dornoch Firth in the far north of Scotland. That's not looking to me like a particularly effective strike. And I certainly got the sense when I was talking to Mick Lynch, General Secretary of the RMT union, that he is looking for a relatively quick result, a settlement. They did say that the current offer of 5% last year, 4% this year, contingent on very large number of changes to working conditions, was a dreadful offer, and they couldn't possibly accept it. But I don't think that the 14 train operators represented by the Rail Delivery Group, or indeed the ministers who ultimately will sign this off, will need to move particularly far to get an agreement. I hope I'm right about that, because here we are. By the time we have the rest of this round of strikes, it'll be into April. That will be the 11th month since these national strikes began.
Yeah, I think he was saying earlier, stuck in a deadlock. However, we reflect, obviously, that there is a deal being put in terms of the network rail position, the signallers and track staff and so on. And then Steve Montgomery from the Rail Delivery Group saying, you know, the RMT really should be putting these offers to the membership in terms of ballot to see what their reaction is, given, as you say, the passage of time now.
Well, most certainly, because the line from the Rail Delivery Group, train operators, is that, look, if you think it's such a rubbish offer, why don't you put it to your members in a referendum? If they reject it, overwhelmingly, then we'll take that as some sort of message. But at the moment, and I did tackle Mick Lynch on this, he said, look, we did a huge consultation. It's a very complex offer. We talked to 1,000 representatives. They all talked to their members, and they said, no, we don't like it. However, increasingly, particularly with the Network Rail deal going out to the people who work for the infrastructure provider, I hope you're keeping up, it's a very complex dispute, then I think pressure will mount and I'm expecting possibly in just a week from now to see something where the RMT says reluctantly, we're putting this to members, and then we'll just see what happens. I got the strong sense that the RMT would really be comfortable if the strikes set for the 30th of March and the 1st of April don't go ahead, because, frankly, it's just not looking very solid or very effective. And, of course, the members have lost thousands of pounds so far since these strikes began in midsummer last year.
Yeah, and clearly we have to talk about pay figures and percentages and so on, but we know that part of it was about conditions, and in particular about having guards on trains rather than driver-only trains. Have we got an indication of where we are with those discussions?
Yeah, look, it was a really odd thing in December, start of December. They were moving towards a settlement. They thought they had an agreement. Suddenly, the government logged in, and we're going to extend driver-only operation to all train operators. And that, frankly, was something that everybody knew was going to be rejected out of hand within a couple of hours, and so it proved. Yeah. The government and the train operators then walked back from that. They said, we're not going to make it part of this, although long-term, it is still our belief that drivers should control the operation of the doors. And on many of these trains, driver-only operation is a complete misnomer. There will be a member of train crew, sometimes more, on board those trains. But it is a very contentious issue. Mick Lynch this morning called it a red line that could not be crossed. Although, talking to the rail delivery group, they say, look, it's not part of the row we're having at the moment. So, yes, they are very unhappy about that and closing lots of ticket offices as well.
OK, Simon, thank you very much.